So I know I shared your reel in the group with Jackie and Christine, so we've seen your work, and I've been raving about your book. So you have been just on the scene for decades. I love your story of when you arrived in New York on Broadway.
Right. Right.
If you want to share it with Jackie and Christine, it's such a great story of just where we all start and, you know, the things that we encounter.
Yeah. I thought I was in Austin, Texas, and I didn't really know too much about New York other than I wanted to go there and I wanted to try to be an actor there. And a guy sublet me an apartment. And at the time I heard that you were supposed to like ask like where it was, that you were supposed to be savvy about like the location. Not that I knew anything about locations in New York. And so I said, well, where is this apartment? And he said, it's on Broadway. And I was like, Broadway? Great. That's where I want to work. I'll be close to work. And so I sublet this apartment, not knowing anything about the geography of New York, obviously. And it was way, 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 way uptown at 141st Street and Broadway, which at that time, we're talking decades and decades ago, was a terrible neighborhood. Just a terrible, terrible neighborhood at the time. It's much better now. It's lovely now. But it at that time, it was really rough. And I was there, and I like the place had no heat, and there was no lock on the front door. There was no phone in the apartment. It was like, it was a nightmare. And I that first night, it was like freezing cold, and I remember thinking I was going to be murdered in that apartment. And I actually lasted in that apartment for 5 weeks.
I give you credit.
Thank you. Thanks. I didn't really have any other options, actually. I was completely broke. So I managed to, I got a job the first week I got to New York.
Congrats.
And then, thank you. And then with my first paycheck, I managed to get out of that apartment. And it was about 5 weeks later, I think, or maybe it was my second paycheck. But anyway, I got out eventually and got down to Alphabet Town, which wasn't much better in those days, but it was a little less dangerous than where I was living before. But yeah, I was pretty naive. I was pretty green when I said, "Oh, I think I'll just go to New York."
Just
you never know.
How you described sleeping up against the door so no one would come in.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that part. I did. I actually pushed the chest of drawers against and then I slept against the chest of drawers with my back up against the chest of drawers, sitting out.
Oh,
wow.
Yep. Yeah, it was kind of a rough landing. Oh, look, there are more people. Hello.
This is Kim. Kim, this is David.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello,
David.
everybody.
Sorry to be late.
No problem. No problem. I understand there was a problem with the link or something, so welcome aboard.
Yes, it wasn't just me.
No, it wasn't just you, Kim. It was me.
Kim.
We're all doing the best we can.
Oh
right?
my God,
Yes,
right?
yes, we are. Absolutely.
Like, oh. So David, do you want to jump in and tell us about your book? Or I also would love to know, I mean, again, Kim has seen your reel too, some factors that you think brought you from that arriving in New York in that apartment with no lock on the doors, sleeping against the doors and no one would come in,
Right.
to where you are now. Just what are some of the key points that brought you along this journey and kept you afloat?
Oh, okay. Well, that's that's a big topic, and so we can sort of break that down and do it a little bit at a time. And
Sure.
I can just and anybody can jump in at any point here to talk about anything, or ask me a question. So feel free. I don't have to do all the talking. But like a lot of people, I kind of fell in love with this when I was very young, when I was a teenager. And then I went to college with the intent of studying theater, but I hated it. Like I just hated college. And I hated the program I was in. I just hated it. And there were a lot of reasons for that. I don't think I was completely just me being immature. It was just not a great program and I didn't like it. But I did like where I was living. I was living in Austin, Texas. Which was a great, great town, and it still is actually. And it's a great sort of mecca for artists in that part of the country, actually. And they have great theater, and they have great. It's like Chicago in that way. It's its own little kingdom, and it has great music and great. The University of Texas is there, so there's huge, resources there, and there's great food and great movies, and it's a cool place. And so I stayed there for a couple of years after I dropped out of college and considered just staying there forever because it was really a fun, beautiful place to be an artist. But I wanted to try the big league. so that's what I did. And like I said, I just took a swing and with very little preparation landed in New York. And it is, when I look back on it now, I think it's kind of a miracle that I survived the way that I landed in New York, but I did. You know, I was young and I was tenacious, and I was skinny. I didn't eat much in those days, and so I somehow managed to pull it off. And it probably took me, I would say, a year really to kind of get stabilized in any way in New York. And somewhere along there, I finally started taking my first acting class, and that began to sort of put me into the community of young actors in New York, because I didn't really know anybody. And that was the beginning of me starting to know people. And then from there, the first acting class it was okay. It was not great, but it was okay. It was good for me. It was a good place to start anyway. And then I went from there to a much better acting class, which was William S., who some of you guys may have heard of, who also has two remarkable books out, which are about acting. I mean, my book is kind of about career, but his books are about acting. He has the William S. Studio still exists in New York, and he was a phenomenal teacher and really kind of iconic and pretty tough. And he has a long list of really amazing actors who studied with him, really incredible people.
You said William Esper?
Yeah, E-S-P-E-R.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I almost went to a summer
yeah.
intensive years ago that he had, but
Yeah, he was something. I was with him, and a long time ago, but I was with him in his classroom for 2 years, and it was, you know, he was intense. I mean, he wasn't mean, but he was frank, that's for sure. And me and a few friends of mine, we got off pretty much scot-free, but he was an amazing teacher. And what I learned in that 2 years was it shaped everything, you know, and to his definition of just what it meant to listen. You know, I think prior to that, I mostly listened as an actor to hear my cue when it was my turn to talk. You know, I don't know how much attention I really paid to the other person or the situation that we were in. And he really taught me that was like the beginning of everything, was to say, I'm really not interested in you. I'm interested in your response. You know, it's like, wow, okay, I guess then I should have a response of some kind. And I'm not going to have a response unless I pay attention. And then to be willing, which is the big thing, I think, for any artist, is to be willing to let this person, whoever they are in front of you, change you. Because that's not something we do in life a lot. It's actually antithetical to life. In life, we're trained to not do that. We're trained to like, nope, I'm protecting myself from all this stuff. The world's a dangerous place. I don't know who you are. I'm not going to let you see anything or know anything about me, and I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to let you affect me, if at all possible. And in acting, we do just the opposite. We open up to that, which takes guts and it takes practice. But once you learn to do it, pretty much every big deal actor you'll ever see interviewed about the craft of acting will say listening. That listening is, you know, the bulk of it. And it is. It truly is, because in a weird sort of way, the other actor sort of hands you your performance. But anyway, I also learned many other things in that class, but it was the beginning of the beginning.
I have to say, I love that you said that, just about feelings, because I feel like that's why I myself, and I think a lot of people fall in love with the craft, is exactly what you said. Because I feel like so much of my life was hiding how I feel, not being true to how I feel. And it was the first place where I could just be and feel everything.
Nice, isn't it?
It was beautiful. It's beautiful.
What did you study, Jamie?
So my journey is different, where I was in drama club in high school. I grew up in a small town, very blue collar family. Acting was something you did in drama club. That's not a job. You know, get it out of your system.
Right.
So my college years consist of going to college, dropping out, going to college, dropping out, going to college, dropping out.
Great.
Finally graduating, and then I feel like I was, just one of those people who got snow jobbed by society into, marriage and a family and a house, and that's success and that's happiness and that's what you do. So that's what I did. So I didn't come to the craft until I had my second child, and I found myself very depressed, like to the point where I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really just that dream saved me, because I was like, I have to do something for myself or else all is lost.
Yeah.
And I went to an on-camera audition class and signed up at Boston Casting and just kept persevering. And I'm really proud of the resume that I've built, the work I've done, the people I've met in 10 years.
Great.
It's been a decade, and it saved me. It saved my life. So that's my story in a nutshell. So really, I really have not, I didn't go to a theater training program. I've taken classes. I was a stay-at-home mom of 2 when I could afford them, different casting companies, different teachers. I've read a zillion books. I've listened to actors who have more experience than me, been on sets and just tried to soak everything in that I was learning, and just learning, I feel like my whole life's like the school of hard knocks. You just learn as you go.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
No matter how you launch. I teach now, and I know that a lot of what I teach in the classroom is not, some of it is based on what I was taught, but or the way that I was taught, but a lot of it is based on my work life. I was blessed, and I got to work with a lot of people, and a lot of really good people, and some really terrible people also. And out of that, you learn a lot.
Yeah,
you learn
absolutely.
a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about what technique means, because there is actually something kind of magical about this, that it really is. And you posted that quote actually on the meme that you made. Thank you, thanks. I'm actually kind of fond of that, because that's actually my own original quote. But it really is true. It is. It's all imaginary. Like everything that we do in this business is imaginary. And, or I should say in this art form, not in the business, but in the art form, everything is imaginary. And so it really is about taking this thing called your imagination and learning what to do with it, learning how to access it, learning how to deepen it, and learning how to trust it and walk into it and not be afraid of it. And all the things that, because it's quite amazing what it can do.